All right, ANYP live here at New Britain Day. We're excited. We've gotten the opportunity to meet a handful of people today. It's been fun. A lot of different food trucks. There's music in the background that you can hear. Rob smoking a cigar from. Rob, where are you from?
It's from the Oak Room. The lounge is in Doylestown.
All right. You said what? $500?
It's a $500 a year membership fee.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, Dave loves getting new members, so stop by, fill out an application form. It's a great place to be. I love going there. It's one of my favorite places to go, just to kill some time. Blow off a little bit of steam, have a cigar. Got a TV there. I usually go for Eagles games. Great place to watch the game. Great people there as well. It's a really, really enjoyable place to be.
There you go. Free local advertising there for the Oak Room in Doylestown. So if you happen to listen to our show, which they totally do, thanks, and you're welcome. So some of you guys have asked us in Twitter. You guys have asked us, via text, for those of you guys who know us, how we kind of came about the idea to start this podcast. And originally it wasn't a podcast. So it was, originally it was me and Steve, who's not here at the live event today, but he and I wanted to create this Flyers blog, this Flyers, just account to sit there and really vent our frustrations at Flyers hockey, which, if you are a Flyers fan, you know how absurdly frustrating that team is. So we began doing it. We had written a few articles each, and it was originally a WordPress page, and then my roommate, Elle, who is like, he's football, everything. It's 365 football for him, and we were amidst the birth of what is going to be a great Philadelphia Eagles dynasty, we believe. So our group of two turned into a group of three. Elle, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what kind of intrigued you about getting this thing started?
Well, when I was in college, I was the sports director for the radio station, and I was the sports editor for the newspaper. I called football games, basketball games. I got to call a baseball game at Citizens Bank Park, called lacrosse. I did it all. I loved sports, but obviously football is my number one. And when I was in college, I did it, and I did it through, even after I got done college. I even got paid for it, and it was so much fun. And then they kind of kicked me out. No, they didn't really kick me out, but I couldn't do it. And I to this day, if I could go back and do it, I would still do it all over again, because I wasn't good enough to play at the college level. So when you had told me about it, I am a Flyers fan, but obviously I'm not into it like you and Steve are. But this was around the time when the Eagles started to make their run, and I was like, obviously as Philadelphia fans, we want to vent our frustration, but this was a time for us to be like, hey, the Eagles are doing something here. So let's talk fun. Let's sit there and analyze and see where we think they're gonna go, and then we were able to just kind of go forward from there. But whenever I can talk football, it doesn't even just have to be Eagles football, college football, high school football, for that. I mean, me and you actually did talk about maybe going to do an Upper Moreland game, like Upper Moreland Hatboro Horsham Thanksgiving Day game. I mean, I played at Upper Moreland, and me and you went to a couple Upper Moreland Hatboro Horsham Thanksgiving Day games. Well, we didn't get to do that, but still. And then when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, we I don't know if that was our first unofficial, we just did a reaction thing.
It was the NFC Championship game that we won. It was after the Vikings game.
And then we did one. Did we do one after the Super Bowl?
We did do one after the Super Bowl, but you had to take your brother home.
Okay, so
I attempted to get to my dad's house, but the streets were crazy.
Driving through Hatboro, it was impossible.
I believe it.
Trying to get my brother home, but and that was the NFC Championship game was our first unofficial.
I remember we sat there, we pulled the table out, and we're like, let's roll with this.
Talk, and you get the instant reaction, and that's we kind of went from there, and being able to add to our team and build on different segments. It's definitely something that I think we obviously enjoy, and something we think we can build on.
Yeah, and very quickly, we when we originally started, we were kind of doing things with all four sports. We would find a way to work in all four into one 40-minute segment. We would just kind of talk. We weren't even the Always Next Year podcast. What were we first? I don't even remember. Do you?
Ask me anything.
Ask me your idiot question again. That's right.
Well, because I hosted, you wanted me on because I had the experience with hosting shows, because I did it at Westchester, and I didn't. You kind of, for some odd reason, the Always Next Year kind of stuck. I don't know
It
if
was
somebody
Steve
said
who-
it.
yeah, it
and
was
then
Steve.
I went with it on the first show, and you're like, all right, well, we need to change our website, and we need to change Facebook, and we need to change Twitter.
we need to
and,
change everything.
We kind of just changed it from there, from the Ask Me Your Idiot question to
which
the Always Next Year podcast.
Steve's right. That did not have quite the same kind of like good ring to it. So Steve, who names almost everything for us, thanks, dude. You really saved us. We have a significantly more memorable name now. And it is ironic that we call it There's Always Next Year podcast when we actually finally win something here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, because we always said, well, there's always next year. And then the Eagles win the Super Bowl, it's like,
We're like,
well, can
hey,
we do it
there's
again
always
next
this
year?
year.
Yeah, there's always this year. And now let's do it again next year.
So yeah, it was super, super strange. But again, we started off and it was just me and Steve and Elle. And then we quickly realized that we didn't have any type of like real marketing idea or direction. We had never done podcasts before. We didn't even do like any kind of real websites. Like I said, we used a WordPress, like a normal blog, which is basically via Facebook. And I have like 9 Facebook friends. It's absurd. So we didn't really get our word out.
5 of them are the people that are on this team.
It's true. So I decided to sit there and reach out to an old high school buddy, Rob, who's actually here today, and I texted him. I said, hey, I know that you work for a radio station. I don't really know what you do, but can I take you out to dinner and just ask you a few questions? So we actually started off with a meeting in Longhorn, Rob, and you told me a little bit about your dad's previous podcast.
Yeah, my dad had a business podcast, finance podcast. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I know that he did it just about what we do weekly. He doesn't do it anymore, but he did do it, and he had some pointers for me that I was able to bring to the table here as far as marketing the podcast and finding that group of followers that we're looking to play ourselves towards. So that definitely helps.
Yeah, what originally started out as I was looking just for some kind of advice. Obviously, you were one of my 9 friends on Facebook, Rob, and I would see a lot of your posts about your reactionary posts for Eagles games, for Flyers games, for everything in between.
No holds barred.
Absolutely. If you follow Rob on any of his social media accounts, you would know that is true. But I thought, this is another personality that we can kind of bring to the team. And and again, you're a radio guy. You call games for it's WBCBC Racing. What is it?
WBCB 1490.
There you go.
Yep.
So you do some high school games for them and some other host jobs and different things like that. And I thought, hey, what better than to kind of match up Elle with another host and someone else who can kind of put us in the right direction here and kind of add some structure to our shows. And that's exactly what you've done. You have several segments of your own now, too. You've also added to the creativity of the naming, and you've finally renamed our Philadelphia Flyers segment with something we're proud of.
Thank alcohol for that.
So you can thank alcohol for that as you sat there and you were at MBI, was it?
I was at the Warwick Tavern. Actually, right down from our studio.
So there you go, right down from the studio. So, so we bring you in, and suddenly our group of original 2 is now 4. I then ended up taking out a guy me and Elle actually worked with for a very short period of time. Yeah, he worked at our longtime job with us. But we added Kevin Kaskavich, who is actually no longer a member of our podcast. He is branching off doing something solo now. And Kev, if you listen to this, I think you still listen to our show. We're super, super proud of you here, and we're excited to see what you come up with. And I know that we can't release any of your details yet, but just know that we are proud of you for everything that you're doing, and we're thankful for the year or so that you spent here at ANYP.
We miss that Sixers knowledge.
We do, and Kev was our Sixers guy. We all kind of had like our own niche, right? Like Rob and Steve, you guys are the hockey guys. You guys killed it there, with all your Flyers knowledge and just being on the pulse of what Flyers fans want. Elle, obviously, with football there. And then I was always the baseball guy, and we kind of missed that NBA guy. And Kevin really filled that role for us for that year, and he helped me, who I've now taken over the NBA talks here for ANYP, and he kind of helped me learn how to guide these segments and to bring different points and different conversational topics to the board every single time out. So Kev was definitely an integral member of the team. As Kev began to phase himself out, we added Steph Frankenfield, who she jumps on She jumps on the In Cap We Trust segment, our baseball segment. She jumps on Whiskey Ramble occasionally, and she'll probably end up being on several Disciples of Ed with you, Rob. She's definitely a hockey chick.
That's some versatility.
So yeah, we enjoy her for that. And then our final member now, our sixth member, is a guy named Connor Donald. He is from Canada. So it's super interesting for us. We got a guy who, one, is right on the pulse of hockey, obviously given his destination. He's hockey first, but he is brilliant with football, and he and Elle have a great Philadelphia Eagles segment called the Kelly Green Hour. So we're definitely proud of that one as well. Connor, like I said, he gives an outside perspective, or an outside of the city of Philadelphia perspective on Philadelphia sports. For those of you guys who follow us, again, when we've originally started, we talked everything on one segment. And if it was like football season, we gave you 32 minutes of Eagles football, 6.5 of baseball, 3 of hockey, and then we ordinarily didn't talk Sixers basketball until Kev came along. And now we actually have different segments for everything. So we're nearing Eagles training camp now, and I already mentioned it, LJ and Connor, they decided to kind of put their own show together here now, and it's called the Kelly Green Hour. It's all Philadelphia Eagles talk. LJ, you host that show. Why don't you give us just like a 60-second introduction to what that show kind of is for you and Connor?
It's Eagles football, all Eagles football. Now that we're in the middle of training, or OTAs and whatnot, we can kind of. It's nice to dive into the roster, give our predictions. But whatever the hot topic is, whether it's Carson Wentz, whether it's Malcolm Jenkins not going to OTAs, whether it's Deshaun Jackson coming back, we kind of give our own take on it. And then when the season comes, we'll be able to pick out the top storylines, key players to watch, and the different predictions that could be out there, and we can kind of bounce stuff off back and forth, get into a nice discussion. We've kind of agreed on a lot of things early on, but I think as we get into the season, as we get into the roster taking shape, we're definitely going to get into some disagreements, which I think is going to make a really good radio, or really good podcast. I should say. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's funny you say that. It's because we do continually say that you guys are by far like our most radio-ready show. You guys are something that, like, if for our followers and listeners who are listening to this now, you guys already know. If you were to turn on 94.1, 97.5, turn on ESPN, like, that's the type of knowledge that surrounds the Kelly Green Hour with both LJ and Connor. So we're definitely proud of that show and what they do there. Beyond that, we move into hockey, which was again what we started with, and we went from this is the Flyers segment to Get Pucked to Who the Puck is Ryan Dingle, and we have now finally settled on a name, as Rob has mentioned earlier, thanks to alcohol, called the Disciples of Ed. Rob, this is your show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, yeah, we decided to name it Disciples of Ed because, quite frankly, nobody knows who the puck Ryan Dingle is. So, people see the name Ryan Dingle, they're not going to associate that with the Flyers, but Disciples of Ed, every Flyers fan knows about Ed Snyder. He's the reason why Flyers hockey exists as it does in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, inevitably would have gotten their team, but Ed Snyder is the one who brought it to Philadelphia in 1967, built the 2 Stanley Cup champions in the 70s, and really, without him, we don't have the Flyers. So that's why we went with that name that we chose. And yeah, it's been really fun doing all these segments covering Flyers hockey. Unfortunately, they haven't given us anything really happy to talk about, aside from maybe Carter Hart. But yeah, definitely looking forward to in the future with some of these prospects that they have coming up, and Carter Hart developing into the goalie that we think that he's going to become. It's going to be an exciting future for the Flyers, and definitely looking forward to covering that via the Disciples of Ed.
Yeah, we're excited about it, and you're going to have, most commonly on that show at this point, you'll have Steve, who is everyone's favorite host or co-host. Excuse me.
He's completely unhinged, that's why.
Absolutely is.
There's a reason why he's represented by a whiskey glass in our picture.
That's true, yeah. So if you guys don't know who each one of us are, the one thing that you will always know is that Steve is the whiskey glass. That is Steve. But you'll be joined by him and then obviously by Connor up in Canada, who obviously is going to add a pretty strong perspective to what he sees, through some true hockey eyes, as we call it here. So Occasionally I'll be on the show, occasionally Elle will be on the show. But Disciples of Ed is something that's very, very different from what the Kelly Green Hour is. The Kelly Green Hour is very radio ready, radio friendly. It genuinely sounds like you're listening to a radio station, like a podcast of a true radio station, which adds that kind of an element to our podcast. This is true podcasting here from Rob and from Steve and from Connor. This is very much very unhinged, as you said, Rob. So this adds definitely some grit, some personality, some colorful language, some truthful responses, and very raw responses. So we're excited about the personality that follows your show.
Yeah, and we go that way because we feel that relates to most of the Flyers fan base. It's a gritty fan base, a blue collar fan base. It's Flyers fans tell it like it is.
They get it.
Yeah, so we figure a little bit more of an unhinged show, a little bit more of a, dirty in terms of the language show, would definitely relate more to the diehard Flyers fan, which is where we're not really going. I mean, we appreciate the casual fans, but we're really going for the diehard fans with this Disciples of Ed, and we feel like we can draw them in, relate to them much better with telling it exactly as it is, as opposed to censoring ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, there's something genuine about that, and there's something relatable and connectable about that. And again, two very vastly different segments, but both we're very, very proud of. You have that very raw podcast era, that new podcast era type of show with yours, and then obviously with Kelly Green Hour we have the more radio styled show, which again both shows do very well for us, and we're very proud of them. We also have shows that I host both of these. I have In Cap We Trust, which is our Philadelphia Phillies segment, and TJ's One of Us. So TJ's One of Us used to be hosted by Kevin Kaskavage. Again, he has since moved on to we can't tell what he's doing yet, but he is going solo. So we're very proud of Kev for what he's doing. But the In Cap We Trust segment and the TJ's One of Us are most commonly joined by you, Rob. So we like to think that what's it been now, 12 years we've known each other?
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, about 12 years. Again, we went to high school together, Rob and I. Rode the bus to high school, together, all the way up actually from here, from New Britain. We're both from here. So it's weird being back here, but cool in the same right. But yeah,
for you, I live here.
Well, you do live here still. I do not. Close enough. I'm still Bucks County-ish, so it's not like I'm not here. But yeah, so I mean, you and I, we've had chemistry for a long time. Talking Philadelphia sports. It was something that was very apparent to me when we first met in the restaurant at Longhorn Steakhouse. Where we sat down. I gave you I kind of told you what we were looking for, and you helped us out a little bit. But we have a lot of fun on our show. We're probably somewhere in between radio ready and podcasting. Like, we make the effort, but if some genuine emotion comes out, we're not terribly, terribly angry about it. We do try to, we try to keep it PG-13. We get one F-bomb a show. There you go.
We have the swear jar.
We do have a swear jar. That's true. So some of our regular listeners what's up?
And 95% of that is from you.
I know. Look, me or Steve, both of us, we probably need to re-record episodes because of us. It's not even worth editing. It's like every other word sometimes, depending on what's occurring in Philadelphia sports. But we do have a swear jar because some of our regular listeners do have families, and they listen in the cars, with their kids, and they don't necessarily want to hear all those things. So we do make the effort, to still convey our natural emotion here. But when we slip, inevitably, given certain topics such as Andrew Knapp existing, or Aaron Altair previously existing,
or John Malley
for Rob, yeah, that's true. We do exercise. We have a swear jar, and we donate to the American Cancer Society. So $1 every single time we swear something. Every time we hit to $50, we donate to the American Cancer Society. So if
we
you're
had $50 within the first week.
I'm pretty sure the first week we had $32 for just 2 segments. Do you know how bad that is? Like, we got to figure out a better way to sit here and talk to people.
Who is we?
Me and Steve.
You.
Me and Steve. There's more than just me. Steve is obviously not on as many segments as I am, so obviously there's a skew, like a curve. But yeah, I'm not great. All right, I'm more podcast era versus radio era, so I got a little work to do here. But hey, we're donating to a good cause, so you can be angry at us that we're saying it, but just know that we are
We have
donating.
good intentions.
We do have good intentions. So like maybe if I'm like overly animated, you will literally sit there and hear me say like I don't even care $1 to the swear jar right now, because it is that warranted. So, but we do have good intentions there for that. But it's something in between, kind of radio ready and podcasting. And we think that those shows have, just slightly different personality than the others. We have one more sports show. It is Crossing Borders. It is with me and Connor. It's like a debate show. So if you listen to like First Take, it's similar to that. It's kind of styled in the same way. Me and Connor basically go on to Philadelphia sports Twitter. We find the hottest takes and debates amongst all the core four Philadelphia sports for the Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, and Sixers. We find whatever you're arguing about, and we give our takes to that. Sometimes we agree with you. Sometimes we agree with each other. Other times we disagree. Sometimes we disagree with you. So it's always different style of conversation there for each of the 4 debates that we end up coming up with for those shows each week. It is fun. Then we have 2 shows that are not necessarily sports related, but kind of in that same realm. Elle, you host the WWE wrestling segment now. You brought this idea to us last week. The first show is not yet aired, so we are very excited about it, called The People's Take. Connor actually came up with the name, so Connor, well done, kid. You're making contributions here, small, but they're there. So, People's Take. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the driving idea was behind it and why you decided to go ahead and put this out there?
Well, I mean, for the 20 years, probably plus, I've been a wrestling fan. It's like a guilty pleasure of mine, I know it's fake. I know it's a drama. And, when you have a long, stressful day on a Monday or Tuesday, you just like to go home and relax, and then wrestling's on. So I watch it, and I'm, back, like I said, 20 plus years. And then noticing on Twitter, Connor talking about it, I hit up Connor. I was like, "You're a wrestling fan, ain't you?" He goes, "Yeah." And I noticed you. I was like, "Dude, we got to do a show." I was like, "I know it's not Philadelphia sports, but, we could do a segment on it." And when we had our meeting, we brought it up, and we know it's not the 4 core sports, but there is a huge wrestling community out there. And if we could put on a good enough segment that we can bring them into the ANY, podcast family, that they could come in, they'll, maybe we have some Eagles fans, Flyers fans, Phillies fans on it that listen to us, and then, we can expand. And like I said, while the Kelly Green Hour is our fact-based, we give our predictions and whatnot, but it's straightforward, straight to the point. When you talk about wrestling, it's all storyline, and we can make our own storylines, and we can predict where we think one wrestler is going to go, where storyline is going to go. If we're wrong, we're wrong. Nobody cares. It's all made up anyway. So I think this is going to show our personality. Like I said, June 5th is our first segment going into WWE Super Showdown. We got a lot on tap. We're going to talk our favorite wrestlers, how we became wrestling fans. Competition that's going to be coming up against WWE and AEW. Then we'll go over the card for the pay-per-views. We're strictly sticking with pay-per-views right now, but if we get traction coming in the fall, I think we're going to try to make it weekly.
Nice.
Getting into Raw, SmackDown, even AEW when that starts. And then our kind of inner segment thing is going to be a what if. We're both going to pick 3 scenarios from wrestling. Could be current, could be in the past. What if this didn't happen? What if this happened? And we'll kind of project where we think some storylines could have went. So I think it's going to be a good show, and we're going to definitely have fun with it.
Yeah, we're excited for you, man. It's again, it's not one of the core 4, but there's a huge wrestling community, as you said. And undoubtedly some of those wrestling fans, they are fans of Philadelphia sports as well, or at least wrestling fans from this area. So if we can gain, again, you guys pull some listeners from that, we're excited that we can kind of, catapult some of those listeners over to some of the other segments as well. So we are excited for the People's Take. Again, that's another one with LJ and Connor that's going to feature those 2 on that show. And our final one is Whiskey Ramble. It is from Steve. So Steve, we do like focus groups. So also, if you ever want to be on focus groups and want to give us back, some feedback on some of these shows, definitely reach out to us. We'll give you all the ways to reach out to us shortly. But people love Steve because he's, well, Rob, you said it. He's completely unhinged. He's crazy. But he's funny. He's relatable, and he's just real. And so he's rewarded all those people who have said such positive things about him and what he contributes to our show and to the podcast with his own segment. So it is called Whiskey Ramble. Again, he is a whiskey glass, literally, in our cover photo, our album photo, if you will, for the podcast. Because this is who and what Steve is, He just wants to sit down, pour a glass of whiskey, and let's just talk. So we talk sports, we talk life, we talk therapy, we talk good things, we talk bad things, things that piss us off, things that make us happy. And literally when me and Steve sit down for this segment, we sit down across from each other at the mics, and we have no idea what the topics that are going to come up. It's just natural conversation, 40 minutes to an hour. And sometimes it's rants, other times it's just straight comedy and just insanity. Stephanie's on the segment occasionally as well. They got into a Game of Thrones debate one week too. I don't know that the three of us watch Game of Thrones.
I don't.
But Elle, you don't either. But they were able to get into something there, and that was fun. So it's definitely a different segment, a different feel from all of our other segments. It is very, very Steve. So if you happen to be one of the people that really thoroughly enjoys Steve and everything he brings to our show, definitely give his show a listen. Again, it's called Whiskey Ramble. Those are our 7 main shows. So again, if you're following all the way along, we began with just 2 people talking just hockey. And we've branched out to now a group of 6. It is me, Elle, Rob, Steve, Connor, and Stephanie. All of us are on multiple segments. Some of us have more of a role than others. Some people are more media driven. Stephanie does a lot of her work for our website and building and things like that. So you won't necessarily always hear her on shows, though she will be on your show, Rob. She'll be on, a few of my segments, and then obviously she'll be on Steve's segment as well. The two of them, they get along well as well. But we do have additional segments. We have things like, get to know the team. We have, random questions about, who we are as people, some of the things about our sports background, things like that. And then as LJ mentioned earlier, we have now in each one of our segments inter-segment bits, and we will eventually start using actual hashtags for these and kind of involving you guys more. So the more that you guys listen to our shows, the more you're going to hear some of these inter-segment bits that are going to kind of add more personality to our shows, which is something that we're constantly trying to do. So when you do have things like you said, you're doing a what if, Al?
Yeah, what if segment.
So you're doing like a what if?
I'll give an example, one that I'm not going to use. All right, so I don't think I'm using. All right, back in '97, when Hogan joined WCW and formed the Wolfpack, what if Hogan never went to WCW? Would there have been the Monday Night Wars? So it's going to be something like that. We'll get into a couple minute discussion about it, and we're just going to, like I said, we'll pick 3 each. It's going to eventually turn into Connor's segment while he gets comfortable with it. I'm going to host the first one, but like I said, we're gonna definitely have some fun with it.
Yeah, it should be good. And each one of us, we have what's going on. What's up? Yeah.
You know if your dad's going to be here at 5?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yep.
Want to make certain, that's all.
So yeah, he'll be here. Talking to one of the hosts of the event here, Rob's dad actually, just jumped in checking on to see if my dad, who's actually a musician, is going to be playing a segment here. Is he under the pavilion?
What's that?
Is he under the pavilion when he plays?
Yes.
Cool. That's good because
We
he's
have a vendor
very
down
unhealthy.
who's selling T-shirts, and he has one that says, "I support 2 teams: the Eagles and whoever's playing the Dallas Cowboys."
That sounds like LJ with the Sixers.
I bought one.
You bought one.
When he sent me a picture of the T-shirt, they asked me if we had room for him here. He sent me that picture of the T-shirt. I said, "You're in." Anybody that cheers against the Cowboys is in.
There you go. So I guess the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree here, Rob. Very similar.
Definitely does not.
So yeah, actually it's cool. Your dad puts together this event. My dad's going to play in this event. We're both here. It's a bit of a family and community day. It is fun. For any of you guys who have not heard my dad before, he is. You can just search Michael Mead. And he will come up. He's got several albums out on iTunes. He's got his own website. But again, he'll be playing here in a little bit anyway, under the pavilion. So not that these things will be posted by that time, but if you happen to have been here and see an older guy playing guitar and singing, that was my dad. But anyway, yeah. Back to the different hashtags and different things that you guys, if you do listen to our shows. We want you to interact with us. LJ's going to want your scenarios because he'll review them on his wrestling show on the People's Take or on Connor's wrestling show. Rob, you're going to have different inter-segment bits for Disciples Vet for the Philadelphia Flyers segment.
I am, yes. I'm in the process of coming up with them. I already have a few planned out. that will be implemented in the next episode, but still in the process of thinking through them. Eventually I'm going to get to having about 4 or 5 segments for the Disciples of Ed, and we will have them rolled out as the summer goes along and over the course of the draft and free agency.
Yeah, so definitely be sure to, and each one of my segments as well, they have intersegment bits too. We have like a GoFundMe account for Pat Neshek as one. We have Selly in Philly. We have Gabe. We have something about Gabe that I can't remember. In Defense of Gabe.
Gabe, yes.
Where we sit there and we talk about something that we will, to the end of time, we will defend, even if we are 3,000% wrong. We will just keep moving the goalposts in the ways that Gabe Kapler does for all of his relievers and utility players, or starters for that matter, and all of his post-game pressers. But we have tons of different things like that. We will eventually start implementing that hashtag, and we do encourage you to put your thoughts out there. So everything that you guys contribute in that way, you'll hear those things on the show, whichever segment they are geared towards. Another way that you can do that is go in the Apple iTunes review section. Again, you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher Radio for the Android users. We are currently being reviewed by our iHeartRadio and Google Podcasts to get shows on both of those platforms as well. But we are also on Spreaker, Spotify, and we get like advertisements on SoundCloud. They're like just snippets of each episode. So like just random little commercials. We're not fully on SoundCloud anymore. We didn't get too much traction there. But for the people that were there, we do throw some commercials up that way. But go into your review section for wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review. And if there's something, an intersegment bit that you guys love, put it in the reviews. That's a really, really great way for people who are just scrolling through different podcasts and they're looking for something, something fun, something entertaining. They want to hear what people who listen to the shows think. So throw some reviews in there. I think we're 18 reviews now,
something like that.
In the short time we've been up. So,
next person who leaves a review gets a free autographed picture of my face.
That's true. I forgot about every single one of those. So yeah, the very next review, if you review us, if you're review number 19, you happen to see that on iTunes, send us a DM on Twitter at ANY Podcast. And just say I was the 19th reviewer, and then Rob will send you an autographed photo of his face, which every fridge in America should honestly have.
I mean, all the ladies want to have this picture above their bed so they can look at it, look at them asleep. I'm serious about that.
He is a very handsome man. Like, he's definitely doesn't fit in on the album cover on it. It's a little strange. The level of attractiveness drops after you, Rob, most eligible bachelor in Tinder, which still, I know I've said that like 15 times. It's still my favorite thing I've ever read about one of your profiles. The fact that you literally said that on there is hilarious to me. But if you are not reviewing us on different things like that, you can also subscribe to our website. So we do write occasionally. LJ's written the most recent piece for us, and it's recent as in several months ago. But
actually, I think that was, who did the celebration piece?
Oh shit! Yeah,
that was me. The bat flips and celebrations. Yeah, back in the beginning of the baseball season.
That's right. With all the different handshakes.
Bryce Harper was doing the handshakes, and Reese was taking the hit by pitches.
Yeah, which is that was a really good article. I forgot about that. So yeah, we do write occasionally. We will get back into that. We always say that, but we will eventually actually start doing that. Mainly because I pay for this website, and we should use it more than we do. We pretty much only use it for mailbag questions right now. Like, our subscribers who are currently subscribed will email us through that, and that's how we get all of our mailbag content, or for the most part, our mailbag content. But the website is www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. There you go. And again, there's a subscribe section there. There's an email link there. There's a link to our Twitter there. There's an audio page that when you log into it, it will have our actual podcast playing on the page. That way, if you don't want to subscribe to something and get a ton of alerts and you just want to kind of get the feel, by all means, go to that audio tab there, the podcast tab of the website, and give us a listen and just try it out for yourself. Again, it's www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. Each page each show that we have, each show segment, they each have their own page now as well. They're all going to be looking a little bit different as time goes on here, as the hosts and co-hosts of those segments will kind of make each segment and each tab their own. So we are excited about that one as well. And then you can always follow us on our Twitter account. It is at ANY Podcast. again, we always interact with each other there. That is mainly for announcements. So, when we do things like this, live events here at New Britain Day in New Britain, PA, that's where we make those announcements. Every time our segments get published, that's where they go. When our articles get written, that's where they go. There's not too much content there. So if you want the personality of the podcast, you're going to want to go to every one of our personal accounts. My personal Twitter is @Shane_Mead. Rob, your personal Twitter?
Radio_Rob.
And then L, your personal Twitter, sir?
@LJ Harrell 54, HARRELL.
54, his football number, because he still plays. And then we have Steve is @Schmitty324. We have Stephanie is @StephanieE.Ray, RAE. And then we have Connor is @ConnorTEN, Connor10.
Stephanie E. Ray 90.
Shit, yeah. Stephanie E. Ray 90, thanks.
L with the save.
So, yeah, well done. She is, in last place with Twitter followers right now. She did just join, but she was just managing our account before that, so...
You're in first place. You shot past me.
She might have more followers than me because I was on private for a long time.
I know, you're psychotic. But now, hey, the whole world knows who you are now, so the whole world will know the brilliance of the Kelly Green Hour and the People's Take. Your two favorite segments now, your two leading segments. But yeah, definitely give all of us, again, if you want to get to know who we are as individuals and our takes to Philadelphia sports, it's pretty much exclusively what most of us talk there. So give each of our personal accounts a follow as well. And then, let's see what else we have here. Do we have anything else that we're missing here that we haven't really talked about yet?
Are you at 1,000 followers yet on Twitter?
I don't know. I haven't
We
looked.
need to have a race because I need to get some. I've been stuck in the 500 ballpark for the past couple months.
Yeah,
First
I don't
person
know,
to get
man.
to 1,000 Twitter followers. What's the deal we have there?
All right, let's see. Well, between me, you, and the podcast, we're all right around the same, aren't we?
You and the podcast are a little bit ahead of me now. I think you both are probably right around 800-ish.
I think we're around 900.
The podcast has 901.
Did you just log in?
It would be more impressive if I got to 1,000 before you guys. I have 47 followers right now.
That's because you were private forever.
Because I'm a private person.
So am I, but I only talk sports on there. I don't talk life. Which completely devalidates my follow us. You'll know who we are as humans. I talk all about my life. L talks all about his. That's why he was private. So you guys are going to get all the mushy details on L's existence here.
All right, so let's put some sort of a competition on the line here. We can figure it out later. But if I come from behind and I beat you to 1,000 followers, we'll figure something out.
All right, I like it. We'll put the details of that one out. That'll go. All right, there you go. That's another thing that we do. So we have constant bets going. We have constant just different wagers and different things like that. LJ wins everything.
I was going to say, we have constant LJ wins bets.
We do. The whole black book is filled with LJ wins, LJ's positive, LJ takes this victory, LJ takes that. It's... What's that? Oh, look at that.
His dad just showed up.
Old man just showed up. Look at him looking all professional and spiffy to be in the shade. Good for Mike Mead. Look at him yelling. He's already angry because it's hot. That is so funny.
I'm angry because it's hot, and I've been angry since we got here.
Yeah, tell me about it. But yeah, so we will probably sign off shortly, so that way we can get, maybe we'll get Mike on. But we got to call him Mike, so everyone else knows who he is, but he's Michael Mead, is my dad. So we are.
We are live.
Oh my God, people love you. People love you. You're going to play. It'll be a good time. And first of all...
No, I had to walk a mile away with this shit.
I would have gotten it for you.
I didn't answer my text.
I would have gotten it for you.
Hey,
you're ranting.
I hope you're all listening.
The angriest of the Meads, Mike. Oh my God. So hopefully the next segment that we have, if we're still here anyway, it'll be his music in the background as opposed to whoever the band is. Not that they're bad, they're fine. We don't know who they are. That's all. But yeah, so we have a black book of wagers. I'm so sidetracked here as people are walking by here at New Britain Day. We get distracted by those people who are sitting here talking to us, taking our business cards as such.
We're actually getting people now.
So yeah, it's good. It's I think you're right, L. People showing up later, potential fireworks and things like that. Probably pretty smart. But we have a black book of wagers. LJ wins all of them. It's a problem. So we will figure it out. First to 1,000, we'll get an award. What do we do if the podcast gets to 1,000?
The podcast gets to 1,000, we should do a giveaway.
A giveaway? I dig that. All right, that's fine. We'll do a giveaway for the podcast. We'll figure out the details of all those different bets, and we'll start publishing some of them. And then we will also release the details of our famous bet, Black Book of Bets for the ANYP. And if you would like to place wagers with us, we can't take them because that would make us bookies. Damn. But it would be fun. Anyway, we're going to sign off here. Like I said, we'll take a little bit of a break. We're going to walk around. We'll talk to some more people here at New Britain Day. There's a ton of different food trucks. There's cigar lounge that we started off with here. My dad will be playing music soon, which is still cool to me. They got a bounce house, which is, we were never too old for a bounce house, right?
Never too old.
Never too old. We'll get on the bounce house.
I
They
might
got
get stuck in it.
Yeah, not too old, but might be too big.
Look, maybe I'm too fat. Maybe. I'm not saying, like, Rob, you're in good shape. You could probably make it work. There's a slide over there calling my name. It's like 6 feet in the air. It's about as high as I can go. But yeah, definitely a cool day here at New Britain Day. And we're here because Rob's dad got us here, which is pretty awesome. So, thanking Mr. Gilmore for the appearance today. But that's going to be it for now. Like I said, we're going to log off for a little bit. We'll be back with, we'll talk just a little bit of everything before we go for a short while, and then we'll head out for the day. But we'll see everyone back here shortly.